Hello again, everyone. As I continue to go through my bookmaking journey, that seems to be the kick I'm on lately. This is the latest stuff that I made in pretty much the most recent class that I took on bookmaking. So the name of this class is called Mini Marks, and the person who organized it, her name is Autumn Moon. And actually, I should preface that. So there's 4 lessons in this course, and hers is the only book I didn't make. That has nothing to do with with me not wanting to make that book. It's just a book that requires some extra dry time, and I tend to like do things on the couch or whatever in the evenings, and I can't really do that with that. So I am planning to make that, but I didn't want to wait until I managed to make that to show you some of the things that I've made. So this is only 3 of the designs that are included in that course. It's actually chock full of really great methods for art journaling, in addition to making the journals themselves. And I would say that these two are the ones that look the most like the instructor's one, and this looks totally different because, I just used what I had um, instead of using exactly what the instructor chose. So I will put a link down below to the course. I'm not sure if it's open all the time, um, but you can at least then see when it's open again, etc. So it was Sophie Decor or Decourt, Lisa Goddard, and I'm so sorry, I've forgotten this instructor. Um, but it's 3 instructors shown here, and then there is Autumn Moon, who has another book, which is really cool, actually. I'm looking forward to making it. I already picked all my materials, I just haven't had the time to really spend on it. But let me start with these. So this is actually the same style journal. I'm gonna put these off to the side. But I got so into it that I decided to make 2. Let me get in here a little bit more. So on the exterior, I used sari silk to create the tie. And I had this really cool, I guess it would be considered a skein of, which is like basically just wrapped up thing. That's normally what you call it when it's wool or yarn. So I had this great skein of sari silk, and when I got into it, just bought it off of Etsy, and it's not available anymore, unfortunately. But I was really surprised that when I unwound it, how many little inclusions were in there. So like this little thing was on the sari silk. This little thing, even though parts of it are missing, which is part of the charm, I think, um, was in the sari silk. So I really kind of liked incorporating that. And then you see little beads here. Let me actually unwrap it, because you've got little beads, some additional fabric here. I just thought that was so cool. I don't know where you would find this kind of sari silk, if you were specifically looking for it, but Etsy has so many versions of sari silk available that hopefully you'd be able to find something. But this particular journal was about making dyed fabrics and then making your book with them. And it had a really cool binding method that I had not really seen before or experimented with. And then it also had this kind of cool style where the paper sticks out from the book itself, which I thought was kind of fun because you can see all the papers that are in there. And so this is dyed fabric, this is dyed fabric, this is dyed. This I obviously did not dye. And then I chose a variety of papers that were just sort of leftovers. So this is one from a Dyed and Gone to Heaven class from Liz Constable. Always gonna plug Liz Constable. I love her. But it's funny because the colors matched almost exactly, and this is a completely different dye than I used here, but clearly I have a color story. But I thought that was pretty cool to put in the front like that. And then here's a paper we made with the leftover die. But a lot of these are scraps that I have. This is actually a great way to use up leftover scrap collage material. I mean, assuming it's big enough to go into a book. But that is what I did here. There are five signatures. So it's just all kinds of collage material in here. Some of the pages are folded over to fit in here. Some of them are just the size of that. But I really, really loved putting this together, and it was just so fun. And these were really good papers that I had for these. I'll show you this one. But because it was small, or because it is small, it made it a lot easier to manage. And actually, I did hand stitching on both of mine, but the class goes over machine stitching. So you don't necessarily have to do hand stitching. I just, because it was like in front of the TV or whatever in the evening, I just went ahead and did hand stitching because I kind of like doing that. In the evening, but you could just do it with a sewing machine, so it'd be a lot quicker that way. And more Dyed and Gone to Heaven paper. This was actually the underpaper underneath all of the things that I had dyed, which was pretty cool. And then, you know, just various papers. A lot of these are from Fodder School, but yeah, and I chose some sort of fibrous papers. These might be, I don't know if they're rice papers, but they're, you know, they have a lot of chunky fibers in them. But yeah, so it was really fun to use up these really fun scraps. And because this is a smaller journal, you can include more of your scraps because you don't have to worry about it not fitting or not being big enough. So, and then I just love how it closes like that. So basically I just wrap around twice and then just tuck in the end, and there you go. Very cute little book. Or books. So these are lovely. I probably will make more. I kind of want to play around with the design and see if I can make things bigger and all that kind of stuff. And I really like incorporating beads. And these again are beads that I purchased from, well, I purchased these beads from Etsy, just like I purchased this. That's why I was saying again. And I forget where they came from. They might have been direct from China, but they're so pretty, and they had a lot of really pretty colors. All right, so let me go on. Where did I put them? So let me go on to the next one I made. So I made those two first, and then I made this one, which is essentially like a quilted cover. So this is all, you know, little pieces of things sewn together. And it's pretty easy. Again, I hand stitched everything. You can use a sewing machine. Because again, this was just, you know, like sewing when I had time and didn't want to be at the machine. But yeah, it's so nice. And then on the inside, I used some more of the fabric that I dyed for this other class. I kind of went crazy with that. I love the colors on this. And then I did do some additional embellishing with some straight stitches, which I really liked. And then in here, I have all kinds of fun papers. These obviously had to be a little bit bigger, so I kind of went through my collection. And this is actually just tape that I took off of a painting I did. So it was around the edges of the painting, and then I put it on paper. And I didn't know what to do with it. And then I realized if I cut it in half, it was perfect for 2 pages in here. Because obviously you have to think it has to be long enough to wrap around, right? And I've already done some art journaling in here. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you may have seen an earlier version of this particular spread here. What I really love about this is you can see, you know, the different layers. But I haven't really done too much. You know, some I've added some collage to, just little bits and pieces here and there, but I haven't done too much in here yet. And this is actually a photocopy of a cyanotype I made. I don't remember where I saw this, but cyanotypes, if you're ever into that, or you want to have that in black and white form, it makes for such interesting um, photocopies. I think, yeah. So this is the other side, although I did put something in the middle. So, but this book was so fun. Oh, and at the same time, I was taking a Wanderlust class where it's a section of the class where we're dealing with powdered pigments and inks. And so this was one of my play things for one of those courses. And then because I had so much extra left over, I kind of incorporated that in here. And I did put some gesso over some of the pages that had like book pages here. I haven't done that for all of them, but my plan is to just continue to art journal in here. And I haven't really been doing much lately, but I would like to. Oh, and these are deli paper. They're sheets of deli paper kind of sandwiched together, and I put those in there. And here's another photocopy of a cyanotype. And here's more of that tape. But just so many fun things in here. It was really, really nice to be able to winnow down some of my collage material as well. And some things that I might not want to use in an art project would work perfectly fine in a book. And also I wanted to include things that I'd be okay, painting over. And what's nice about this is because things are kind of different sizes, you'll be able to see the different peekaboo things like that one I showed you. This is probably really the only finished or almost finished spread in here, because you can see the page behind, and then when you do that, you can see the other page behind here. I just had lots of fun with that. So there's that one, and this was just really, really fun. It was using some methods that I'd never used before, so it just happened to be that this strip ended up on the spine. That was not intentional, so that was kind of a happy accident there. And then there's this book, which was supposed to be with all kinds of natural dyes. And this is another one of those pieces of sari silk. This actually had quite a few little bits and bobs and, I don't even know what you'd call those, on there. And I just love the color, so I did that. And then this is a piece of Indian fabric. So I recently found a place that I could order directly from India for fabric, and it's super cheap, and they're really beautiful fabrics. They're like hand block printed, but they're really pretty. So this was just a piece of that, and some hand dyed things with stitching. This fabric was actually something that I purchased off of Etsy that was naturally dyed. I did not naturally dye anything specifically for this journal, but it goes through the whole process of doing that in the class, which I find fascinating, and you can learn a lot. Okay, so anyway, let me go by flipping through. So here's the back of the book, and this is a hand-dyed piece of lace, which is really super pretty, and also is a pocket because I left the top unsewn, so I can always use that as a pocket. So it's a trifold. So there's two sections of the book in the front, and then there's one in the middle on the back. So let me just kind of go through here. So yeah, inside I just, sewed together various things. This was also all hand sewed. I don't think I did machine work for any of these. And then again, I just chose some papers that I had lying around that were the right size. I was just wondering why that kind of stuck. Anyway, yeah, just incorporating different papers. This was actually a snippet roll that I made in fodder school. Just thought it looked nice there. These require a lot of work still, because I basically haven't done anything. But I did make a little pocket out of this snippet roll piece, which is really nice. And part of me, some of these pages, when I put them in there, I kind of like them as is. So I think that I probably will just leave them as is. But yeah, sometimes I don't know how far to take a page. Yeah, and so there's little fabric. This is actually canvas, raw canvas. And this was more of the powdered pigment play. Same with this. And So I really like putting marks on top of music sheets or ledger paper. This one, you know, maybe it doesn't hold the ink as well as ledger paper does. Ledger paper is like amazing for watercolor. I didn't know this, but it is. Probably other water media too, but I've used it a lot for watercolor. But it's just, I really like the contrast of the sort of browned papers and the ink on top. It's really nice. So there we go. I had actually put together some extra papers on here. So I'm definitely getting into the more grungy kind of style, which is kind of surprising to me because I used to like things pretty clean. But oh, and I should say, so this is the other side. I just wrapped it around that thing of lace, and then this makes a pocket as well. This is a little bit floppier than I would usually like for a book, but I think it works in this context. And then this is the last signature, which I've already done some collaging in as well. Yeah, I'll have to keep working on those. And then that is it. And then this is a bit of hand-dyed fabric as well. It goes all the way through to this side, but my signature is in the middle of it. And then I decided to leave this top open, so that could also be a pocket. So I was going to say something else, and I don't remember. Yeah, so I don't know if this would actually work with paper, but you could certainly use a stiffer fabric for this. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh, I don't remember. Okay, well, it must not have been that important because although people say that and then I forget important things all the time. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If I remember, I'll tell you before the video ends. And then just wrap this up. And that also kind of keeps it together. So you're not going to have things flopping all over the place. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Okay. So one of the things that the instructor showed that I thought was really useful is a lot of times, you know, if you're using one of these trifolds, you've got a really chunky back right here, right? So, but if you just put that to the side with the inside signature, you've got a totally flat surface to work on, which is kind of cool. And I'd never really made a trifold book like this before, so it was nice to do. All right, well, and if I do, I will at some point, when I get around to making the last book in this course, I will give you an update and show you that one. And maybe I've done some more work on these books as well. We'll see. All right, but I just wanted to share that, and it's a really lovely class. If you have any interest in dyeing fabrics, bookmaking, fabric bookmaking, I noticed that these are all fabric. And I think there's fabric in the other one too. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. So anyway, they're all books made with some sort of fabric. I mean, obviously there's paper in here too, but I found this to be a really, really great class with great content. As someone who's trying to get into more bookmaking, it was really a joy. These especially took a lot of time and patience because of the beadwork. But it was so worth it because I really liked the end result. And that's probably why I was okay with it being smaller. And I'm a little hesitant to go bigger because I think, oh my God, all that beadwork is going to be a big pain, but we'll see. But I did want to share this class with you. I'll put a link down below, like I said, because it's just, I thought it was one of the better classes that I had taken. And, you know, I kind of followed the instructors a bit, and then I kind of went off script a little bit using the course as a base, which was really fun, and hopefully I can do that more in the future. But there you go. Now I have these beautiful little books. Okay, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.